Right. We'll give everyone just a little bit to join in, but I am so excited to be here with you all and with our guest speaker today. So my name is Kinsley, and I'm one of the CSMs with High Counselor. And again, we're just going to wait just a minute to see if we get some people joined in. So thank you all for being here. Certainly appreciate you tuning in. We'll just wait a couple more seconds and make sure that everyone is getting logged in using that link through LinkedIn or through YouTube. Thank you for joining us. All right. So, again, my name is Kinsley, and I am one of the CSMs with High Counselor. And so you might be asking, what is High Counselor? And so we are a career accelerator that helps job seekers land their dream job through a 4-ish week training that covers important topics and concepts that are frequently asked during interviews. You'll go through this training program and attend behavioral, HR, and technical sessions, as well as having our team optimize your resume and your LinkedIn profile. So we'll make sure that LinkedIn profile optimization is perfect as well. There will be sessions on topics like networking and salary negotiation, as well, which is something that we can work with you in during that networking phase as well. So through our instructors and our one-on-one mock sessions and tools, we help you simplify the networking process and really just make sure that you feel more confident and comfortable as you move into applying for roles. We also have some really cool automated features that I'd love to tell you about just briefly. So we've got automated email networking, and we also have direct referrals that we can provide for various companies. And then we also have our automatic job application tool. And so I really love this feature and love this tool, as I think it really takes away some of the burden and stress that comes with the job search process. So we'll apply to those jobs on your behalf. So one of the most unique services that High Counselor has to offer are real world projects. And so I think that you all should definitely check out those projects that are conducted on LinkedIn Live for data aspirants and data job seekers. And then you can add those live projects onto your resume to impress recruiters. And it just really a great way to have something to talk about in interviews as well. So you can register for our upcoming live data projects. We're actually going to drop that link in the chat box for you, and make sure that you have the link for that. So we are currently accepting candidates that are interested in software engineering and data related roles. So make sure that you apply to that upcoming cohort. We're going to give you info for that later as well. And obviously, this is just a very quick overview of High Counselor and what we have to offer. But if you want more information, we do host info sessions every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we do have one tonight. So feel free to sign up for that info session and learn more about High Counselor and how we can help you with your job search process. Our next cohort start date is April 17th. So if you are interested in joining us, please make sure you submit that application. Okay, well, so as you all know, today we're focusing on acing your career in data science, and we've got an amazing instructor here with us today, Jay Takar. So we are so excited to have Jay. He's actually created online courses for High Counselor for our software engineering track, and continues to partner with High Counselor. He has more than 5 years of software development experience in companies like Walmart Labs, PayPal, Flipkart, which was acquired by Walmart, and even more. Jay completed his master's in computer science from the Indian Institute of Science and has an MBA from Queen's University. He currently works as a product manager at Good Life Fitness, where he works on the development of product strategies and defines product roadmaps for the company. So, Jay, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kinsley.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. And guys, just so you know, we'll go through a bit of the presentation and then have some time for a Q&A in the middle, and then more time for a Q&A at the end. So make sure that you get your questions ready for Jay. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kinsley. We'll solve some data structure and algorithm questions today, and after each we are going to go over 2 questions, and I'll look at the comments, or I'll take questions after every question. So let's get started right away. So before I start, I also just want to briefly talk about High Counselor. So like Kinsley mentioned, I have created online courses for High Counselor already. So High Counselor really helps you. I mean, as a it covers everything. So 360-degree. You don't have to worry about interview prerequisites, interview prep, or interview calls. So High Counselor will help you with resumes and LinkedIn's. It also helps you with hands-on project, which is really nice when you're looking to get into or enter into a new field, or making a career transition where you don't have experience, or you're a fresh grad. So that really helps show that to show recruiters that you have worked on some of those real projects as well. Also, you can prepare for interviews. Like I said, there are many upskilling courses as well, but also on the interview call side, it will help you with job search, job application, email networking, and in general, helping you connect and network with employers. So that's a brief introduction about High Counselor. Like Kinsley said, if you have any questions, please join the call tonight at 9 p.m. Also, you can join future calls as well if that does not work out. So with that, let's get started with data structure questions. So the first question that we are going to look at is balance parenthesis. So first of all, let's see what is the question. So question is that given a string of parentheses, check whether it's balanced or not. So what do I mean by balance? So the first one, if you look at the first input, it has square bracket, then a round open round bracket, then that's getting close, so that's matching, and then square bracket is also closing. So that's a valid balance parenthesis. Whereas the second example, where after the open round bracket you see a closing curly bracket, curly parenthesis, so that's definitely not valid. So output should be, for the first one it should be true, and for the second one it should be false. So how will we solve this problem? So first let's talk about the overall approach, and then we'll look at the solution. So we will be using stack as a data structure. So stack uses last in first out order. We will go through what is a stack, what does it mean when we say last in first out. So first we will be using stack. For every opening bracket we will push it on the stack, and if there is a closing bracket we will pop the top element from the stack and check if it's matching with the bracket, or parenthesis. So if it's matching, we remove it and continue. And at the end of it, if our stack is empty, then we return true, otherwise we return false. Initially this might look slightly difficult, but let's take some examples so that will help you visualize things a lot better. But before we jump into this problem, let's understand what is a stack. So like I said, last in first out is what ordering is used by stack. So in this example, let's first push 1 on stack. So this is an empty stack right now. We want to push 1. So 1 gets pushed here. Now let's try to push 2 as well. So again, it will get added on top of 1. So 2. Now we want to push 3. So again, just like this, we will add 3 at the top. Okay, now there is an interesting operation. This is called pop. So usually for queues or you will think that, okay, this was the first element that was inserted, so we will remove this first. But in stack, it's last in first out. So 3 will get picked up and will get removed from the stack. So 3 got removed and from the stack. So that's the pop operation. So pop is really different for stack than queue. For stack queues, it's first in first out, whereas for stack, it's last in first out. Now let's push 4. So 4 will get added on top of 2. Then push 5. So that will get added on top of 4. So 5 gets added here. And now if we do a pop, again, what will happen? It removes the element which got added last. Which was the element which got added last? 5. So 5 will get removed and get printed. I mean, you can print, you can process whatever is required. Again, let's say you want to do a pop operation. So this time, what is the last? So 1 was entered first, after that 2 got entered, after that 4. So 4 is the last element that got added on the stack. So that will be the element will get picked out. So this is what is meant when I say last and first out. So this is the key difference between a stack and a queue. Stack uses last in first out approach, whereas a queue uses first in first out approach. Now let's actually quickly go back to our approach as well. So what did we say? We said that we will use stack here. We will push opening bracket on the stack, and whenever there is a closing bracket, we will pop the top element and check if it's matching with the closing bracket or not. If it's matching, we will continue. Otherwise, we will return false. And at the end of the string, if the stack is completely empty, then we will return true. Okay, so now let's start with that. Perfect. So this is our input string. So yeah, there are opening brackets, closing brackets, curly braces, round braces, everything. And again, everyone knows this, but just for a reference, this is what I mean when I say open bracket, and this is what I mean when I say close parenthesis or close brackets. Okay, so and this is our empty stack. What is the first element? So first element is a opening square bracket. So whenever there is an opening bracket, what do? We push it on the stack. So this get pushed on stack. Now, what is the next element? Next element is open round bracket. So again, if it's an opening bracket, what do? We push it on the stack. So round bracket will also get pushed on the stack, top of the stack. Now, the next is closing round bracket. So when there is a closing bracket, what do? We remove the top of the stack. So we basically perform pop operation and we try to match. So we will pop and then we'll see if it's matching with the closing round bracket. So in this case, if the top of the stack is a round bracket, open round bracket, it matches. And in this particular case, it does. So because this open round bracket matches with a closed round bracket, we are good. So we will continue. Now, what is the next input? I mean, next character. So that's a open square bracket. Any open bracket, what do? We just push it on top of the stack. So it got added on top of the stack. Now open curly bracket. Same thing. It will get pushed on the stack. Open round bracket is the next character. So in case of any open bracket, all we have to do is that we need to push it on the stack, top of the stack. So it will get pushed here. Now things are going to get more interesting. Now we get a round close bracket. So we do a pop and then we check whether it matches. Currently it's round bracket. So if top is round bracket, we are good, and we are actually good in this case. So it matches, so we are fine. Now next is closing curly bracket. Again, if we have open curly bracket at the top of the stack, we are good. So in this particular case, we are fine. So it matches and we can continue. Now we have closing square bracket. So we'll do the same operation again, that we will pop the top of the stack and uh, we'll see whether it matches with the square bracket or not. It does match, so we are good and we can continue. And finally, we have one more square closing bracket. So here again, what will we do? We will pop pop the top element from the stack and we'll see if it matches with the closing square bracket. Again, in this particular case, it does. So we are good. Now we have read the end of the string, right? So this is our entire example input string. So at this point, if the stack is empty, so there is no open parenthesis which is left on the stack, that means that every bracket got matched, every parenthesis got matched with the closing one. So in that particular case, we can say that the input string is balanced. I mean, it's using balanced parenthesis. So that's exactly what I'm saying. So here stack is empty, so we will return true. Now, in this particular case, if somebody asks you, what is the time complexity of this? So here, what did we do? We went left to right. So if the length of the input string is n, we process the entire input string left to right, and we either pushed that character on stack or we popped and we did matching. Those are constant operations, order one. So ultimately, for every operation, so for every character, we either added it to stack, pushed it to the stack, or we popped and we did matching. So time complexity will be order of n if the length of this input string is n. And what is the space complexity? In this particular case, we added, let's say, n by 2 elements on stack. But in the worst case, I mean, again, n by 2 is also order n, but worst case, again, you can have a string where you have only open parentheses. So in that case, you will require a stack of length n, because everything will get added on the stack. So space complexity is also order n. So this is how you'll solve this problem, and this is how you do the complexity analysis. Now let's look at the code. Now, right now, when we went through this example, it might look like, oh, it's a very not very difficult, but uh, easy to medium question. But still, there are so many steps required. But when you actually write the code, you'll realize that code is very straightforward and simple. So let's look at the code now. So here, again, I'm using Java. You can use any language of your choice. Most companies will let you pick language of your choice, so nobody will question you why are you coding in certain language or not. So what do we need to do? So we have this input string s, and we need to validate that. So this function is returning boolean, true or false. So first and foremost, what do we need to do? We need a stack, and since it's a string, every character is a character, so we are creating a stack of characters. Okay, so st is our stack. Now we basically convert this input string to a character array, because we want to process it character by character, and then we take one character at a time. So if any character is an open bracket, open parenthesis, so open round bracket, open square bracket, or open curly bracket, in that case, we just have to push it to the stack. So we pushed it here. But if it's a closing bracket, not opening bracket or opening parenthesis, in that case, if stack is already empty, we have to return false because we could not match it. But otherwise, we perform pop and then we do the matching, that for every closing round bracket there has to be a opening round bracket. So if that matches, we continue. But if it does not match, again we just have to return false. And we do this operation for this entire input string. Finally, what do we have to check at the end of it? If the stack is empty, we are good. So stack already provides that method is empty, so we are utilizing that. So we will call stack, and then we call is empty method. This will return true if stack is empty, but it will return false if the stack has some elements. So if the stack is empty at this point, we return true, that yeah, it's a valid balance parenthesis. But if that's not the case, we will return false, because this method will return false. So this is how you you can do this entire problem. So first we looked at the overall approach, then we traced one example, then we perform time and space complexity, and finally we coded. So again, like I said, code is very simple, very small. So once you understand and once you can visualize the solution, it's really easy to solve any question. So at this point, before I start the next question, does anyone have any questions?
I'm happy to ask Jay any questions that you all might have. So feel free to drop them in. We did have a question about, hi, Counselor Jay, if you don't mind me answering that. So there is not an admission fee per se for the cohort, but definitely attend that info session and you can learn more about our pricing structure. And this is being recorded and will be on our LinkedIn. So Jay, are you able to see the chats?
Yes, yes,
People
I
are
see that.
dropping some things in for you, so I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Yeah. So question is, what does this part do, right? S dot two character array. So basically, our input is a string. So any input string is made of character array. I mean characters, right? So this will convert this string into a character array. So let's say your input string is try. What it will do is that it will return this array like this, because it will convert it to a character array. And then this is a usual method of traversing any array. So I hope this part is clear. I see one more question. So that question is that, how do you practice and study these questions? So I was going to cover that part in the later half, but I can tell you that High Counselor does provide an free to use platform, that is coding platform, coding assessment platform. So basically you can get to practice all these questions of different difficulty levels in, and you can code it in different languages. So I'll share one more slide towards the end, but yes, you can try. You can go to assessment.highcounselor.com to practice all these questions. Okay, I see one more question. What is valid? Do you always use it to check for true or false? Yeah, so here you check for any string and it will check. So again, we can run and check. So I mean, these are some inbuilt test cases. So for this, it said it worked. For this also it worked. For this, it returned false as expected. So yes, it will work for anything. uh, can this be applied in Python? I'm trying to use Python function. Yeah, so the approach remains the same, but yeah, I mean, certain functions will be different in Python and Java. So you can most certainly code in Python. All these functionalities are there in Python. Maybe the length of the code will be even slightly shorter than that, but yes, you can most definitely do that. And I'll take one last question because we need to solve one more problem. uh, what kind of assessment questions would data scientists get? So yes, that's again a very good question, Lilia. So yeah, so at many companies, so again, this part I'll be covering where you need to do some research before giving any interviews. But again, hypothetically, if you were to apply at any top tech company, you will have to go through an initial data structure round where you get to ask this question. So basically, idea is that here they want to test your problem solving skills and your coding skills, and then you get to ask many different data science related questions as well. But yeah, these are mostly those screener or important first round questions. uh, and okay, this is last question. I'll take it. Why do you? Okay, this question is um, I mean incomplete. But see, this function is empty will return true if the stack is empty, and this function will return false if stack is not empty. So after going through the entire loop, so basically we have processed the entire input string. If stack is empty, we are supposed to return true. So this is what this function will do. And if stack is not empty, we'll have to return false. And again, that is what this function will do. It's an inbuilt function. You can read about it. Perfect. So now let's move on to the next question. So just a second. Yeah, so just for your reference, this second question, in terms of difficulty, it's medium to hard level question. This question has been asked multiple times at companies like Amazon, Google. So again, it's a medium difficulty to a hard difficulty level question. But again, you'll realize that initially it might seem difficult, but once you go through all the steps, you can solve these questions comfortably. So let's start with that. So in this question, uh, it's asking us that design a data structure that follows the constraints of a least recently used cache. So for for the people who don't know what is an LRU cache, I'm going to talk about it in the next slide. But this, I mean, typically in cache you initialize that cache with its size or capacity, and then you can either add new things in stack. So for that we have put, or you can do a get, and we'll see all these functions. So yeah, next slide will make all this put, get, and initial capacity related things a lot more clear. So let's look at one example. So what is capacity? As the name suggests, capacity basically constrains us. It tells us that what is the maximum number of elements that are allowed in the cache. Now, what is put doing? So put has two parameters, key and a value. So it adds the key value pair to the cache. But this is the important one, that if the cache is full, it removes the recently used key and adds it instead of that. Again, we'll see one example. And what does get key do? So get key will return the value of the key, and if it's not available, it will return -1. So for this particular example, assume that capacity is 2. Okay. So first we are calling put 1 and 11. So key is 1 and value is 11. So right now uh, cache is empty, so we simply added it. Now we are trying to put 2 comma 12. So again, capacity is 2. Right now cache has just one element, so we can add that. But important thing to notice is that 1 comma 1 is now least recently used element, because 2 comma 12 we just entered it, right? So that's the most recently used, and 1 comma 11 is the least recently used. Now we do a get one. So we will check whether cache contains key 1. In that case, it will return its value. Value is 11. So it will return 11. But now, since we access this pair, key value pair, that becomes the most recently used pair. So now 1 comma 11 comes in front, and 2 comma 12 becomes that least recently used key pair. This is very important. So that this is how you perform a get operation. Now you want to do put 3 comma 13, but cache is full, capacity is 2, so cache is already full. So in this case we will have to remove the least recently used key. So what is the least recently used key? 2 comma 12 in this example, because we just now we used 1 comma 11. So 2 comma 12 will get removed, and 3 comma 13 will get added. And 3 comma 13 is the most recently used, 1 comma 11 is the least recently used. Now we do get to. So in this case, it will go and check the cache that if there is any key value pair where key is equal to 2, there is none. So in this case, it will return -1 because it could not find that particular value of the key. Now we try to enter 4 comma 14. Again, cache is full because its capacity is 2 and there are two key value pairs. But uh, which is the most recently used? So 3 comma 13 is the most recently used key value pair, whereas 1 comma 11 is the least recently used pair. So 4 comma 14 will get added and 1 comma 11 will get removed, because we have to remove the least recently used key. Okay. And now if you do get one, you can't find it because it's not there, so you return -1. And finally you do get 3. So 3 is available, so you will return 13, which is the value of that key value pair. And uh, basically you'll make sure that 3 comma 13 is now most recently used key value pair, and 4 comma 14 is the least commonly used pair. Before I go to the solution part, is this clear? Otherwise you'll not be able to follow the solution. Are there any questions quickly? I'll just wait for a minute, and otherwise I'll go to the solution part. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I'm confident that everyone has followed this example. So now let's look at the solution. Now here, uh, interviewer will ask you that what is, sorry, there's just one question. What is the most recently used pair? So basically that's the pair which is, so when you add 2 comma 12, that's the most recently used. Okay, you're asking what is the most recently used pair currently. So since we tried to do get 3, so 3 comma 13 is the most recently used pair, and 4 comma 14 is the least recently used pair at the final statement. So I hope that's clear. So now interviewer will ask you that implement it in the most efficient way possible. Don't worry about space, but you want to have really low time complexity. Okay, so in this case both put and get can be implemented in order 1. Now let's look at that, how to do that. So to do that, we will use two data structures. One is doubly linked list, and other is hash map. Now, I'm sure everyone would have learned about them, but if not, we provide courses on High Counselor to upskill yourself, so where you get to learn about all these concepts as well. Uh, so let's start. So first, we want to do put 111. So right now, I mean, first we have to add it, right? So here in the doubly linked list, we will add 1 comma 11 at the head. So every time any insertion will happen at the head, because we want to maintain the what is the most recently used and what is the least recently used thing. And this is the hash map. So here what we are storing is the key and the address of this node. So why is this useful? Because using this address, you can directly access a node. You'll realize when we have to delete or remove certain things, this hash map will be extremely useful. So in this example, just to understand, the doubly linked list is going to help you maintain the order. So order will be first will be most recently used node, and the last will be least recently used node. So insertions happen at the head and deletions will happen from the tail. And what will this hash map do? Hash map will contain key as that key of that particular node, and node's address as the value. And why is that useful? Why are we using that? Because if you want to access a certain element or remove a certain thing from w linked list, it will take order of n time, but you want to do it in order 1. So by storing the address of that node in hash map, you can directly access it, and that is the reason why we use that. Okay, now we the next is put 3 comma 13. Right now capacity is, I mean, our allowed capacity is 3, current capacity is 1. So we will enter that in the both uh, hash map and doubly linked list. But again, like I was telling you, insertions will happen at the head. So we are maintaining this order. So see, this is the most recently added element. So 3 comma 13 is the most recently used pair, and 1 comma 11 is the least recently used pair. So this doubly linked list is helping you maintain that order from most recently used to least recently used. And here we are storing its address as well. Similarly, now the next operation is put 2 comma 12. So in this particular case, again capacity is 3, there are only 2 elements, so we will add that, but again it will get added first. So now 2 comma 12 is the most recently used pair, and 1 comma 11 is the least commonly used pair. Now next operation is interesting. Now we want to do get of 3. So we want to find the value if key equal to 3 is available. So we have to check in the hash map first. So we check and we realize that yes, key 3 is available. And where is it available? At address 3. So we will return 13. But now this node will get deleted. We will create a new node with 3 comma 13 and add it at the beginning. because now 3 comma 13 is the most commonly used pair, right? Because you just access that. So like I said, since we created a new node for 3 comma 13, we have to update its address as well. So this is how our W linked list will look like after get 3, because now 3 comma 13 is the most recently used pair. Now again, interesting scenario. We are trying to add 4 comma 14. Capacity is 3 and we already have 3 elements in cache. So what will we remove? We'll have to remove least recently used. So that's 1 comma 1. So we will remove 1 comma 1. But so deletion will happen at the tail, but we will insert at the head. So 4 comma 14 will get added at the front, and its address, whatever it's the node's address, will get entered against key equal to 4. Now we try to do get 2. So we see that 2 is available at a node address is equal to address R2 address 2. So we go and access that, but also we delete this node 2 comma 12, create a new node with 2 comma 12 and insert at the beginning. So now 2 comma 2 is the most recently used key value pair and 3 comma 13 is the least commonly used pair. Now again, it's an interesting case. We are trying to do put 4 comma 14. Now 4 is already there and it's a put operation. So we will have to update its value. So earlier 4 key and value was 14. Now value is 15. So we will create a new node for 4. First we will delete 414 and then we'll create a new node 4 comma 15 and we will add it at the front. So now our cache will look like this. 4 comma 15 is the most recently used and 3 comma 13 is the least recently used. And finally we do get 3. At this point we check in the hash map if 3 key equal to 3 is available in the our W linked list. Yes, it is. So we return 13, but at the same time we remove 3 comma 13, create a new node 3 comma 13 and add it at the front. So at the end of it, this is how our W linked list will look like. So this is how you implement a W linked list using uh, this is how you implement LRU cache using a W linked list and a hash map. And insertion and deletion both can be done in order 1. Now let me quickly show you the code to do the same. So don't worry too much about the code right now. Code is slightly lengthy, but you can again take your time, implement it at your own pace. So first, to initialize this cache, we have to pass capacity, and that's how you basically create this LRU cache. So you pass the capacity. So and initially, like I said, head was pointing to tail and tail was pointing to head. So head dot next equal to tail and tail dot previous is equal to head. What is this W linked list node? So the definition is here. So every node will have a previous and a next and a key and a value. So for head and tail, we will pass node 0 0. Okay. Now, whenever we want to do a put operation, uh, we'll have key and a value. Now, if capacity is not full, so in that case, all we need to do is insert into the W linked list. And what is insertion doing? So first it will add it to the map, that key value pair, and then it will do the node operation. So basically we are adding anything at the beginning. So node dot next is equal to head dot next because whatever head was pointing to will be pointed by this node. Again, you can trace these things peacefully, but basically this is inserting at that initial closer to the, I mean, at the head, next to the head basically. And if the map size is already full, if it's already at that full capacity, then we have to remove from the tail. So these operations will perform that removal. And if that map basically already contains that key, so in that case, again, we remove that particular element and add that new key value pair. And for get operation, first we check that whether the hash map contains that key or not. And if it does, so if it does not, we return -1, very simple. But if it does, we get and return it. But then we create a new node and we insert it. So that is what these operations are doing. So again, this is slightly long code. You can again take your time. So by the way, usually this, if you are asked this question, you'll be given comfortably 40 to 45 minutes to solve and code. So this is how you'll go about solving this question. We have 14 minutes, so quickly I'll ask, if do you have any questions at this point, or I'll wait for a minute before moving on to the next slide. If you are finding that this question was more difficult than the previous one, I'm telling you upfront, this is definitely harder than the first one. I see one question is, can we do it in Python? Again, answer is yes. So basically, any question can be done in any language, and most companies in the world, they do not care if they want you to code in a certain language. They are checking is your problem solving skills, and basically they are checking if you can code in your language. I mean, whichever language you are comfortable in the most. Okay, the next question is this node address a pointer? Yeah, you can assume. Basically, every node you create will have a physical memory address. So that's what we are storing here. Will it be easier in Python? That's a personal preference. So some people have coded all their life in Java, so they might find it more difficult in Python. But if you're an expert coder in Python, you know some of the small features that Python provides. So basically, yes, you can make this code look a lot smaller in Python for sure. But again, I mean, I would not say that you need to learn Python if you're already comfortable with Java, C++, or anything like that. So, yeah, but I mean, not easier, but code will be smaller for sure in Python. Can we refer to the syntax documentation of the programming language during coding assessment? So again, this depends. I mean, this varies from company to company. Some companies will allow you to do that, as in see here. There is this autocomplete option, so some companies will disable them, some companies will not. So yeah, unfortunately, no standard answer. I mean, but most companies will not, because they want to see if you can code quickly. Is there a way to access from a given value? How many keys have a value? 12. I mean, see, the question is, you are asked to implement get and put. So this is not a system design or a low level coding interview. Here they want to basically code two functions in the most efficient way. Yes, this can be implemented, but that's not even asked right now, because you'll not be able to even finish two things in 40-45 minutes. It will be a difficult task. Okay, perfect. Now I'll move to the remaining slides. So again, mainly I wanted to show you that, see, we use stack for the first question, W linked list, and a hash map for the second. So just by using some of this common data structures, how can you solve some of this most difficult questions? So that was the intention of showing these two problems. Now, basically, some tips and tricks for cracking a coding interview. So, first and foremost, you would be required to learn data structures and algorithm, right? Because again, if you don't know what is a hash map or what is a stack, you will not be able to solve any of those questions. So, yeah, you need to learn the basic data structure and algorithm questions. Also, the other most important thing is that you need to code a lot. uh, I mean, not a lot, but you need to code regularly. So if you wake up one day and think that, oh, okay, I got a call from Amazon in 2 weeks, I'll do lots of questions, that usually does not help, because again, you'll not get that speed. You get tired after solving some of these questions mentally. So you need to solve regularly. So you need to spend 1 hour every day solving 1 or 2 questions, and once you are comfortable solving them, you start timing yourself that how much time are you taking solving this. So that's the second thing. And then uh, again, some people might have questions that, oh, okay, there are like thousands of questions available on the internet, right? Which questions to start with? So do some research, but basically this I mean, these two lists are very famous. NIT 150 question. So there are some a collection of 150 questions which covers variety of topics of data structures and algorithms. Or if you don't have a lot of time, you can look at blind 75 list as well. Again, it covers some questions. So NEET 150 is a superset of blind 75. So I mean, if you are doing that, you don't need to do blind 75. But if you don't have time and you want to cover every topic, blind 75 is a good uh, set of collection, I mean, a good collection of questions. And then most importantly, I mean, practice giving mock interviews, because some people struggle explaining their solutions to an interviewer. And for all these questions, first you need to agree on a solution with that interviewer, and then you start coding. So some people struggle there. So even that's very important. So these are some uh, tips around cracking a coding interview. Now, again, if you are thinking that, oh, how can I, where can I practice these questions? Or there are many paid tools. So you can definitely use the assessment tool created by High Counselor. So that's assessment.highcounselor.com. Here you can practice all this coding questions for free. So platform is absolutely free of cost. Again, many people ask that, can I code in Java or Python? So yes, multiple languages are supported. And also there was some question around data analytics or data science. So if at all you think that you are going to get some SQL related question for data analytics, you can again practice them here. And like I said, you'll get different levels of difficulty, as in you'll get different questions here. Some questions will be simple, some will be medium difficulty level, and there are some hard and very hard topics as well. So you can practice all those questions here. And now I wanted to highlight that coding interviews is just one part of the interview process. It's not the only thing you need to prepare. So I'm here in this part, I'm going to talk about how do you crack interviews. So first you need to practice coding questions. Then you need to prepare for system design questions as well. So system design, how do you design Instagram, or how do you design Twitter? So those are the questions you need to practice. So what type of design decisions would you take, what sort of databases you would use? So that's another aspect. Then you need to prepare for behavioral questions. So most companies, not most, all companies will have at least one round which will focus on behavioral questions, where they want to see whether you can work in a team or not, whether they do a culture fit here, all those things. So prepare for that as well. Then you need to showcase your projects or your past experience, so you need to practice and have some answers ready. So again, everyone can talk about their projects, but idea is that you don't want to give too much detail. You want to cover the key points in 2 or 3 minutes, so practice doing that. This is also very important. Research the company on Glassdoor or Blind. So many people will share their interview experiences, that, oh, I was there were two coding rounds, then one system design round, and blah blah blah. So you'll get to know that company's entire style of interviewing and all those things here. So do this as well. And then, like I said, practice communicating technical concepts, because sometimes solution is there in your head but you're not able to articulate it. So practice that as well. And last but not least, I know that it's a tough time. Finding a job could be difficult. Some people might be impacted by layoffs. So here, what can you do while you are trying to find that next job? It is difficult for sure. So first and foremost, you need to build your skills. And one really good way of building your skills would be to work on some live projects. So again, if you are attending info session tonight, you can learn about the live projects that high counselor is allowing you to do right now. Again, where you get to work on real uh, almost real projects, so you can add those things in your resume. Also, other important thing is networking, because you need to have that strong network right now, because when the market is good, networking will help you get those initial calls. Stay up to date with the latest industry trends. Again, if you are in data science, you should know in and out of Chat GPT, right? I mean, everyone is talking about GPT-4 these days. So if you are going for your data science interview, I mean, you might be asked certain questions around that. So do that as well. And and finally, build a strong online presence. So while you're working on some of these live projects, make sure that you post about them, so recruiters will take a notice that, oh, okay, maybe this person is struggling to find a job right now, but he or she is, I mean, they're actively trying. So that's again very important. So that's everything. And let me know if you have any questions. Again, you can visit us on highcounselor.com. If you have any questions, email us at support.highcounselor. Yeah, that's everything.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jay. That was amazing. So thank you so much for joining us today. I will go ahead and open up the floor to any questions that you all might have. So feel free to drop those in the chat. It does look like we have one question. If I don't do good in a programming assessment from one company, can I apply to the same company again for a different position? And will I get a coding assessment?
Yeah, so different companies will have different policies. So again, most companies will not uh, let you apply for a different role for certain periods. So some companies will have that policy that you can't apply for another, as in you can apply for keep applying, but they'll not uh, give you an interview shot for 6 months or so. So yeah, make sure you are very well prepared before going for interviews. But at the same time, there are just so many companies, so don't worry too much. If you're getting an opportunity, you see, you'll not clear the first interview that you get. So you need to practice a lot. So again, go for it, but prepare and try to do your best. Also, I see one more question: what are the most commonly asked DSA topics? So here I would say that definitely go check that the two lists that I shared, NEET 150 or Blind 75. So there, like I said, they cover certain few questions from every topic. They try to do that. So there you'll see tree related question, linked list related question, doubly linked list, hash map, arrays, everything. So do check out that, and you'll realize what are the at least main topics that you need to learn and cover.
Thanks, Jay. Any other questions before we wrap up? We do want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we know we've hit that hour mark. So while we do wait for any, let's see. How is system design interview questions answered? Is the candidate going to type the solution or just verbal explanation?
No, yes. So this is mostly verbal explanation. So definitely there'll be many components or many layers will be involved. So let's say you are building, you're asked that, how will you build Google Maps or how will you build Instagram? So at that time, they will share a screen where you can draw and visualize the diagram of how you are breaking down that entire system into smaller microservices or things like that. But yeah, I mean, you are not they will not ask you to code anything here. They are looking to understand how you break down, what type of databases you use. Are you going with SQL or no SQL for based on the use case and things like that? How will you take care of scale? Those are the main things that people interviews will check.
Thanks, Jay. Okay, so while we wait for any last minute questions, there's just a few more things that I want to mention. We're going to drop a feedback form in the chats and would love for you to provide us with feedback or suggestions via the form in the chat. I'm going to pause before I go to my next point because we do have another question. How is Tableau interview questions answered?
Yeah, so for that, I'll strongly recommend checking some of our other courses because, yeah, this interview was mainly about software engineering or data science related questions. So I'm fully not aware of Tableau interview questions, but you can check out some of our other courses to get more information about that.
Thanks, Jay. So we dropped that link to the feedback form in the chat. Additionally, if you would like to apply for our upcoming batch, again, that starts on April 17th. So not this upcoming Monday, but the next. We're going to drop the link for the application in the chat as well. And then we did want to make you aware of an opportunity to network with employers across USA. It's a virtual job fair. It's going to be on April 25th. And so we're also going to drop the link to that as well. I'll pause as we have one more question. Thank you. So still on system design interviews, if I don't know how to draw or give a visual design, but I can explain it very well, is that all right?
So yeah, that's a tricky one, Joy. I mean, again, it will highly depend on that interviewer because, yeah, so see, again, like I said, there'll be so many components or smaller services that will be involved in that system design. So you may not be able to just explain those things in words. See, here, you're not required to make a perfect diagram, but just make some boxes, just try to explain how will they communicate, and uh, yeah, will you use certain cues uh, for that communication and things like that. So it's more around having discussions around the diagram you come up with. So I'll highly recommend practicing that if you are not comfortable.
Thanks, Jay. Okay, so a few more points before we let you all go. If you want to register for the upcoming Real World Live projects, we're also going to drop a link to that. As Jay mentioned, that's one of the best ways to get experience, to get that practice, to have things to talk about on your resume and with employers. So highly encourage you to check out those live projects. It's super, super important. And then tonight's info session, where you can learn more info about HiCounselor and how we can help you with those HR technical and behavioral interviews and support you on your job search journey. The link will be dropped in the chat. So make sure you sign up for that info session. I think you've got links for everything that we've got coming up, everything from those real world live projects, the info session, the job fair. Let's see, what else did we give you? The application to apply to High Counselor, and then that feedback form, all in the chat. Feel free to give us all the information and feedback that you have for us. We'll take one more question, and then we will wrap up, and I'll let Jay give us any closing comments. But the question is, what platform can I use to learn how to visualize my idea to prepare for my system design interview?
Yeah, perfect. So you can practice certainly on draw.io or platforms like that. So yeah, you can do it for free.
Okay, so the last thing that I want to encourage you to do is follow us on social media. Our Instagram handle is at High Counselor 2022. You'll see it at the top of the screen. And then also follow us on LinkedIn. So it's just a really great way to stay engaged with us and to know what events we've got going on, all the different things that are coming up and that High Counselor is supporting. So follow us, like us, all the things. So thank you again, Jay, for joining us today and for providing us with those interview strategies. I certainly learned a lot. It was great to hear from you. Any closing comments that you want to leave us with before we let everyone go?
Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this session. I hope it really helped you. And yeah, make sure that in case you are having a tough time during layoffs or recession, make sure you keep practicing, you keep working on some projects, because that will help you get back to the job market when there are more openings very comfortably. So make sure you upskill yourself. So do all these live projects, whatever helps you the most.
All right. Well, thank you, Jay, and thank you thank you to everyone else who attended today. We certainly appreciate it. Be on the lookout for our next webinar and any other events that we've got coming up. Again, you can find those on our LinkedIn profile or on our Instagram account at High Counselor 2022. So I will wish you all a great day, and thank you again. We'll see you next time.